Okay, Jackie, so here's your first video on how to improve your Rubik's Cube times after you've learned the basic method, which I have on my YouTube channel. The first, I think an easiest way to improve your times is to take steps 1 and 2 from the basic method and combine them into a single step. If you remember, I'm going to just go ahead and put these pieces in here. This is what I'm doing. So this is step 1. All right. Step 1 is to put the white edge pieces on the yellow face. Okay. Then step 2 is to line them up. You'll remember this from my videos. You line these up so that their center pieces match up, and then you turn them face down. Oops, I forgot. I messed one up. There we go. So now we have the white cross here, and the center pieces all match up like that. Okay. So how could you make this faster? Well, I think it takes somewhere around 15 moves or so to do step 1 and step 2. Those two combined, I think, are around 15 moves. You could do a smaller number of moves to accomplish the same thing by simply putting the white pieces down on the white side to start with and just forgetting about step 1. Okay? How would you do that? Well, the first thing to understand is that when the white center is oriented down, the colors go in order or to your right like this: red, green, orange, blue. Okay? Red, green, orange, blue. So you could take the edge pieces and put them on this white side and just pay attention to the order you're putting them in and make sure that you get them in the order of red, green, orange, blue. Then once you've got them all in order, then you just rotate the bottom layer to match up the edges and you're done. Okay, so let me give you an example of that if that didn't make a ton of sense. I'll just give you an example. So let's say that this is our starting point, our starting scramble. Here's red, here's orange, here's green, and here's blue. Okay, so I know that I'm going to go red, green, and then I've got to do something with my orange. All right, so I know where they are and I'm going to keep an eye on them. So here we go. I'm going to take red and put it in, and I'll explain these moves more as later. I just want to make the point here. So we go red, green, here's blue, and then orange is right there. So now I've put these in the order of red, green, orange, blue, and now all I have to do is grab the bottom layer and rotate it until the edges match up, and I've accomplished the same thing as if I had done this. Put the edge pieces on yellow side first. I've accomplished the same thing, only I did it in many fewer steps. Okay? There should be, they say that there is no arrangement of these pieces that requires more than 8 moves in order to make the white cross like this, and on average is around 6. It's right around 6 moves. It's like 5.8, but right around 6 moves to create the white cross if you just do it directly. Okay? So how can you do that? Well, you practice. You start by examining your cube carefully. You say, before you start, you examine the cube. You say, here's blue, here's orange, here's green. What can I do to get those in order? Well, I know that if I move this green down, then it'll go orange-green. I don't want that. It should go green-orange, so orange should be back here, for example. So I move the bottom layer 2, I move green down. Look at that. See, now I've put green here, and I know that orange comes after it. I know that red should be right there where it is. Blue should be here. So I'm going to move those the way they need to be to get them in the correct order. So now I've got blue, red, green, orange there. They're in the correct order. And now all I have to do is turn the bottom layer, and now they're all matched up with their center pieces. Okay? So with practice, you can look at it, think it through, know where it needs to go, and figure it out. Okay? Now let's look at some special cases that may present a challenge to us at first, but in reality they're an opportunity for doing it faster. And I'll also show you some algorithms that can make these a little bit faster. Okay? So one special case is, let's say that you've got your cross on the bottom, and you observe that, let's say in this case, orange and red are correct, See, there's orange and there's red. They're opposite each other and they're correct. But when they're in this position, green and blue are swapped. See? Green matches blue and blue matches green. So one way we could correct that is by moving blue to the top, moving it around to its side, putting it in place, moving green back to its side, right? We could do those one at a time like that. But there's a faster way to do it. And the algorithm is this, okay? So here it is again, just in case you're wondering what I just did. And this is what the move is. It's M2, and that's where you hold the two side layers still and just move this middle layer. Then U2, then M2, like that. And the way you perform M2 is by holding those two layers still and then taking your middle finger and pushing the middle layer like that. And that's M2, then U2, then M2. And what that does is it swaps edge pieces that are on opposite sides. Okay? Now, one time when you might want to do that is, let's say that you're in a scenario where red matches red, orange matches orange, but blue is in the wrong location, and let's say green is over here, blue is in the wrong location over here, and green is over the top of blue. Well, one thing that might be easier, rather than moving green around, putting it into its place, moving blue around, putting it into its place, one thing that might be easier would be dropping green in the incorrect location, but knowing that it just needs to be swapped with blue, then doing that move to swap it with blue. Okay, that might be a faster way to get to your end goal than taking them one at a time and moving them around. Okay, so that's a very useful algorithm. Okay, the next algorithm we're going to learn is when you need to rotate an edge piece. So in this case, the orange, white, red piece is in its correct location. It's down here in its correct location, and all we have to do is rotate it. Rather than removing it from its layer and then turning the layer and putting it back in its layer and then putting the layer back where it belongs, which is a slower move, we're going to do this. Okay, this is the movement and the algorithm. Holding the cube like this, yellow on top, white on the bottom, we grab it with our thumb on top and these fingers on the bottom, and we make the move R prime. Then small u, which is the upper two layers with the trigger finger, small u, and then R prime again. And that puts that, all it does is rotate that piece like that. And then we orient the bottom layer like that so the edges match up, and we have our white cross. Okay, so here's the move again. This edge piece, all it needs to be done with it is it needs to be rotated. So I hold the cube like this, I put my thumb on top and this finger on the bottom with my trigger finger ready to go, and I do R prime, and then with my trigger finger I push the top two layers over, and then R prime again. And that rotates the piece so that it's face down, and then all I have to do is rotate the bottom layer, turning it however many times is necessary to match up those edge pieces. And of course, you can also do that move with your left hand. So, and I'm terrible at this, I'm not fast enough, but so let's say that that piece is over here. Instead of turning the cube around and doing it with your right hand, you can do the mirror image with your left hand. So you hold the cube like this in your right hand, you hold those two like that, and you do L, small u prime, L, and it does the same thing. Okay? There are guys who are very fast at this. I am not terribly fast at it, but still it's faster than the other way, than the slow way. So that's a way of rotating a piece that's in the correct location, but it's turned wrong. Okay? Okay, and then the last scenario we're going to look at is when the edge piece is on the top layer, but the white sticker is pointing sideways rather than up like this. So this piece needs to go in this slot. Okay, how are we going to accomplish that? So we're going to hold the cube so the slot we want to place it in is facing us. And then we're going to orient this so that the white sticker is on the side. And it could either be on the right-hand side or the left-hand side. It doesn't matter. Okay? Then this is the move that we're going to do. Let's say that it's on the right-hand side. The move that we're going to do is this. Hold the cube like this with our left hand and like this with our right hand, and we're going to go R prime, F, R. And by doing that, it quickly inserts that piece in that spot, okay? So let's take a look at how fast that can be, all right? So once again, we hold the cube so that the empty slot is nearest us, and then we place the white sticker on either the left or the right. It doesn't matter. And here's how fast that move can be done. Okay, look at that. Real fast, okay? So that's a really great way of getting a misaligned piece from the upper layer to the bottom layer, okay? And the same thing can be done if it's on the left-hand side. Rather than pushing it around to the right-hand side and doing it on the right, if it's already on the left and the empty slot is already facing us, then we do the same move, just the mirror image move with the left hand, okay? And that's potentially a really fast move, right? Just like that. Really fast move to get it down there, okay? So it's R prime F, R, and that inserts the piece down in there.